Life for All presents Daily Food series, The Word of Life, The Fellowship of Life, and Living Stones for the Edification. The Epistles of John and Peter. Title of Book 6. The Prophetic Word, A Light That Shines in a Dark Place, by Pedro. Week 2. Partakers of the Divine Nature. Wednesday. Working on our portion of faith. Read with prayer. As His divine power has given to us all things that pertain to life and godliness, through the knowledge of Him who called us by glory and virtue, by which have been given to us exceedingly great and precious promises, that through these you may be partakers of the divine nature, having escaped the corruption that is in the world through lust. 2 Peter chapter 1, verses 3 and 4. Each of us has received a precious portion of faith from the Lord, and this must be worked on to produce fruit. A valuable tool for this work is taking written notes. During the 5 years I studied in engineering, I had a point of taking notes on everything the professor said, even though I could have access to the same content in textbooks. When we hear information and write it down, we learn more. Today, many teenagers already know this and take written notes on the messages given. After graduating, I also got teaching experience and discovered that teaching makes us learn even more. It is with this same objective that we enjoy the immersion pamphlet. Inculcating the Word in us is an action that must be practiced with others. When we speak, admonishing and teaching one another, the Word is gradually inculcated in our hearts. Our teenagers have already practiced transcribing the Word, but it is also necessary to encourage adults to do the same. Dear reader, try transcribing, and you will realize how much you will gain from the Word by doing so. In addition to writing down Brother Dong's messages, I also made additional notes in the margins of my notebook. We need to work on the Word for it to bear fruit. We have all received like precious faith, with the same potential for production. But the more we work on this land, the more it will produce. Let us work. In the second epistle, the Apostle Peter reveals to us that this precious faith we have received is, as His divine power has given to us, all things that pertain to life and godliness, through the knowledge of Him who called us by glory and virtue, by which have been given to us exceedingly great and precious promises, that through these you may be partakers of the divine nature, having escaped the corruption that is in the world through lust. 2 Peter chapter 1, verses 3 and 4. We have already received all the things that lead to life and godliness, but we need to work to obtain them. We see in this same passage that together with the portion of faith, we receive all things that pertain to life and godliness, as well as God's precious and exceedingly great promises. We have already received all the things necessary to attain life and godliness, but we need to work on our portion of faith for this reality to come to pass. Moreover, the ultimate goal of this work is the following: by which have been given to us exceedingly great and precious promises, that through these you may be partakers of the divine nature, having escaped the corruption that is in the world through lust. 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 4. The more we work on this land in the equally precious faith, the more we will partake of the divine nature, which is why it is necessary and indispensable to use faith. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1. In this following verse, the word person can also be translated as substance, who being the brightness of his glory and the express image of his person, and upholding all things by the word of his power, when he had by himself purged our sins, sat down at the right hand of the majesty on high. Hebrews chapter 1, verse 3. Glory is God himself, but Christ is the brightness of his glory and the express image of his person, that is, of his substance. We understand then that through faith, God becomes real to us. We are human beings, and we live limited to the dimensions of time and space, while God and spiritual things are in the spiritual, heavenly, and eternal dimension. How can we, who are bound by space and time, gain access to spiritual, heavenly, and eternal things? Faith is the only means of entry. It is the window, the door, through which we can have access to the reality of the things of God. If we do not live by faith, we will depend on earthly things, and our hope will be limited by time and space. Thank God, one day, he gave us faith. This faith is like a portion of land we receive and must work on it. Through faith, we receive salvation, the life of God, and we are born of him. Through faith, we have access to all the riches of the spiritual realm. It is foolish to remain limited by earthly things and thus live an inert Christian life after receiving this portion of the land, the very precious faith. Let us work using our faith to gain access to the things of God, his life, godliness, and his precious and exceedingly great promises, for it is through faith that all this becomes real to us.